I mean, like I heard of some people who would have vinyl only labels, limit them, and then they also be the resellers at the same time. It would be the label and the reseller at the same time. The same person, but they're pretending, and then like they were like, oh, we sold out, and then like a month later it'll be like, oh, you know, like you can still get it for 60, you know. Like I heard stories like that. As a promoter, like you have to look at like what a person's reach is, whether you want to put them on your lineup or not. You can love somebody's music, but if they got 500 followers on Instagram, you know you ain't gonna sell the tickets. You know what I mean? So like it's valid for a promoter to look at that, right? You all have to come. and people are like, no, like radio. They're like, no, you must come. They're the ones that go to all of their friends, and they will drag five friends to the gig, and then the 5 friends will go like, yeah, like we get it now. So the sneezer infects all the other people.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ben, thank you for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Really appreciate it.
It was a great night last night.
Really good party. Really enjoyed it.
We are really glad to have you.
Yeah.
We got some fun.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I'm really happy to get to meet you guys, because like I was just it was great to see that, you know, you've got a local crew, you know, of local, you know, people. Indonesian crew, mixed Turkish crew, you know.
He's a local,
like,
a cousin.
Honorary Indonesian, you know.
Do you know what Dunia means, actually?
No, what does it mean?
It means world.
All right.
In Indonesian, Turkish,
right,
Hindi, Arabic, and Farsi.
Wow.
And Urdu too, right?
And Urdu. Yeah.
It means dunya in Turkish, means world in Turkish as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So and it was a coincidence.
All right.
It was a coincidence that it all just came together like that.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that, because like I think there's a lot of people doing events in Bali that aren't from Bali, and that there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it all enriches the scene, but it's good to see a local crew, you know, putting their name on the map and also producing music. I was listening to your guys' set before, and I know, like, you know, you told me like afterwards you like played a lot of your own tunes, and you know, and like I could hear some bangers in there, you know. So,
appreciate you, man. Before you play, like last 20 minutes, we were like, okay, let's just
this is all in.
Let's put all our
all in.
Yeah. You know, there's a funny thing with playing your own music. I don't know if you guys have that, because I used to never play my own music.
Really?
Yeah, I was very critical of my own music, and I would always hear just the faults of it. And one time I played back to back with a friend, and he just made me play all of my tracks. He goes like, play that one, play that one, play that one, and he made me play it, and that kind of broke the ice. And now like I'm cool with playing my own stuff for many years, you know. But like I had a thing, I never used to play my own music, you know. And then like obviously people want to hear your music, you know?
Yeah.
One of the good feelings is like when you play your own music, but if you don't tell your friends that it's your music.
Oh, that's the best feeling.
And then they're like, oh, who is this? I'm like, it's mine, man.
That's
the best feeling.
And also like sometimes like I'm just on Dojo, my music education business, or my music education school. I teach a course on sound signature, on how to get your own signature sound, basically, and how to get a recognizable sound. That's like my new course on there.
That's really unique.
Yeah, and like you know, there's many aspects that go into that. But one of the things that I always found most satisfying as a DJ, when there like was a random punter coming up and he goes like, "That's one of yours," and I'm like, "Yes, it is."
Yes, it is.
And then like, and I'm like, you know, how do you know? I can tell. I know your sound. You know what I mean? And like when somebody recognizes your sound, that is a very significant moment in any artist's life, because that means you can put waves out there, and like stuff travels, and word of mouth, and people can just hear shit. And like
your presence in the scene is felt.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I would argue that like success isn't possible unless you have a recognizable sound. You know? Like success to a certain level is possible, but to have that really outlier success where like, you know, like that not many people reach in the industry. That comes only from carving out your own niche and really just doing your own thing and not really listening to what other people do. And, you know, look, like I'm like, as most creators do, we always listen to other people's music and go like, hey, I want to do something like this. I want to do something like this. But there's ways of doing it, you know. And that's what I teach also in this course. It's like I can boil it down to one simple formula. Copy, transform, combine. Right. So copying from one person is plagiarism. Copying from 3 or 4 people is creativity. Right? So you take a bass line from here, take a chord from here, take that from here, take the way that guy does vocals, you know what I mean? You combine that into something new, then that's creativity. Because you've recombined new elements. You recombined existing elements basically into something.
And then you made it you.
You know? And then you add something your own spice on it. You know, like that's my way of doing things.
I actually want to ask you a question about when we talk about kind of like defining your own sound. Like, does it happen with the experience, or like do you think that just like happens? I think you like I think it never happens sometimes for some people, because I think for most people it never happens, because when I listen to demos, like it's very obvious where like, you know, people are just jumping on a bandwagon, right? When they're like, when they're just like, this is the sound currently, and everybody's making that sound. And all of a sudden, every demo you get starts sounding the same. You know what I mean? Everybody makes that kind of sound, and one person started out with that, and the rest follows basically. But the followers never really get big. You know, doesn't mean that the followers can't have a career. You can have a solid career as a follower, as somebody who follows a sound. You know, and you can still follow a sound and give your own twist to it. That's like, if you're going to follow a sound, that's the way to do it. You know, make it your own somehow. But like lots of people and this is the thing, you know, like when you follow a sound, you're always behind somebody else's evolution, footsteps, right? So somebody else is evolving, right? But by the time that you hear it, that was a year ago.
They're already on something else.
They're already onto something else. They're like, that was a year ago, you know what I mean? Like, because they made that track 6 months ago, then it went into like a good label. The good label has a release schedule, says like, hey, that's not going to come out for like another 3 or 4 months. So maybe if you have a quick turnover, it's like 6 months. If it's like a long turnover, it can be even up to a year after the tune has been made. You know? Like sometimes longer, you know? So by the time you hear it and somebody goes like, oh my God, that new tune that came out, I'm going to make some stuff like that. It's like you're already a year behind the guy that made it, you know? So if you want to be at the forefront,
you got to work really hard.
And I always say this is the paradox, and it's funny because I've just did the chorus, so I have this all in my head. But if you want to be at the forefront of a sound and really define your own niche, it's better to look to the past than to look what's happening right now, right? So music moves in cycles. Everything comes around again and again and again. You know what Chris Dussey's doing now has existed before in progressive house in a different shape, but like same kind of sound, same sound of aesthetic, basically same sort of principles, updated. You know, so if you like, you're better off going to the past and going like, I found some obscure subgenre that I'm digging, you know, that I love, you know, and I'm going to lean into that and I'm going to update it for now and combine it with something current, basically. And then you could come up with like the next cool thing, basically.
Exactly.
It's better than looking at what's currently going on right now and making that.
And
do you think they also have like a saturation? For example, now it's like, you know, we see all this Afro house and it's like really common. Do you think all these subgenres, they have like a saturation period?
I mean, totally. You know, for example, you know, when you get like a hit record, you know, or like whatever, like, you know, Keine Musik does like a huge record. And then like everybody's gonna jump on that sound, you know, and
which happens.
Yeah, and it's you know, like 99% of those people are not gonna have that kind of success, you know, unless you're already big, you know, you can, you know, like it's difficult, you know, like and Keine Musik has been like sort of honing their sound over like a whole decade.
And they were completely different their sound before.
And you can always evolve as an artist. You have to evolve as an artist, you know, like you always have to sort of try new stuff and go with the times.
And you also change as a person as well.
And I feel like there's a way of being ahead of the curve where you still like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel like completely every time and come up with something completely new. You can go like, hey, I can see music going in that direction, but there's only like
one or two artists that I dig that are doing that kind of sound. And then you lean into that niche. And then you're part of a small group of the pioneers of that sound, you know? And that's cool also, you know? It's just, it's only bad when you're like the last one to jump on, you know what I mean? Like when
it's been for a few years.
It's been going for a year and a half.
You're like,
all these labels are releasing these tracks, and then you're entering the space.
Then you gotta fight like thousands of different artists. But we had a big discussion about this, and maybe like this is essential to Dojo. But do you think it's mandatory because DJing is so accessible now for everyone? Do you think at this point to make it's mandatory to become a producer?
Yeah, I think it's always been mandatory. Like there's very few people that can carve out a niche just being like what they call a selector, you know? Just carve a niche out of that. And also those careers are anomalies, you know? Like it doesn't happen very often. Like there's a very unique set of circumstances that happen for these people, for them to be able to do the thing that they want to do. And I would still argue that it's very difficult to do because like, you know, as an artist, you have multiple income streams, and your intellectual property, what you create, is a significant income streams. There's so many people that are super negative about that. It's just like, oh, like Spotify is just ripping off artists, and you can't make any money at that. And it's like, well, actually, that's not true, because you know, if you know how to play that game well, and you exploit all the avenues. You have a publisher that collects money from all of the world over you when you have a and you never know like how what tracks might do, you know. I'll give you an example. I had a vinyl only label, Incal, still exists as a label, but it's not vinyl only anymore. And you know, one of my first releases, Système Solaire, became like a hit on vinyl, and we repressed, you know, like a couple of times, and I think I must have sold about 1,000 records, which was great. You know,
amazing.
But at some point, somebody goes like, "Dude, like, have you seen this on YouTube?" And it's like, you know, like somebody uploaded it on YouTube, like one of the vinyl upload channels, you know, and it had over 1 million views, right? Like 1 million, right? Now I was like, okay, if I upload that to Spotify and get money from that, 1 million views is 1 million streams is 5,000 euros, right? From Spotify. I mean, that's like a significant amount of money. That's more than I made from the vinyl, right? That came from digital. I got nothing of that YouTube. This was somebody else's channel. It wasn't a monetized channel. I got nothing of that, right? So I then back then I was still in the vinyl only mode, but I was like, I want people to be able to listen to that music because clearly there's a demand there, you know, like YouTube's showing me that there's a demand there for people to stream that music. So I uploaded, although the vinyl stayed vinyl only, I also put my music on Spotify, basically. And then eventually it all became digital. But then that track got on to have another 750k streams after I put it on Spotify, right? So in total, it would have been about 10-15k basically just of Spotify if I put it on Spotify from the beginning, right? From one track. Right, from one track. So that's a significant amount of money for very underground music. So whenever people tell you like, oh,
can't make money off
you can't make money off this, and you're like underground music is like, you know, like an artist are getting ripped off, and it's like, well, look, I put out a super minimal like vinyl only track, and that, you know, would have made 10k, you know, in streams, you know. So yeah,
the cult following is real.
I have a question about it. So
the niches are getting bigger.
What is the purpose of only having like having a vinyl only label then?
Well, there is no purpose of having an only vinyl only label, and that's something that I realized. Like back then when I did that, I was
you know these underground labels, like
so vinyl. I think vinyl is a small pond, right? And it's much easier to make waves in a small pond. You're a big fish in a small pond, right? It's easier to become a big fish in a small pond than to become a big fish in a huge pond. And vinyl scene is very concentrated. The people who buy vinyl are very dedicated music lovers. They're like hardcore fans, basically. And when they want to get a record, they will get that record, basically.
They will pay whatever price it is.
But I guess it's good to build that like die-hard following as well.
Yes, and the die-hard following is like really something that will sustain you throughout your career. Like those people will always comment and come back to your music like years later. But having said that, you know, a lot of vinyl-only labels are very self-defeating, you know, like people would approach me back in those days and it's like, hey, like, we really want you to release on a vinyl-only label. And they would say it's 180 grams and it's limited to 300. And I just ask them, it's like, why is it limited to 300? And they're like, well, because it's more exclusive. And I'm like, exclusive to who? Like, so like you're limiting the reach of my music, right? You're making the product more expensive, right, by using 180 grams vinyl. Yeah. So you're decreasing your profit margin and you're limiting how much you're making. Yeah. How is that good? Like business, like how, like in what world does that make sense?
But that's what works in the fashion industry too.
Like it does.
Drops and
stuff. Yeah, but right, what the fashion industry does, right? Like they do limited releases and limited drops, basically, and they have high prices to begin with high margins, right? We don't have that. Like with vinyl, you don't have high margins, right? And the thing is, you know, like when you do a limited release, the only person that's profiting it is the reseller on Discogs.
True.
Right? Yeah. So like there's some dude will buy 10 of them and then, you know, put them on Discogs 2 months later for like $60, $80. And who's profited of that? Like, I mean, like I heard of some people who would have vinyl only labels, limit them, and then they also be the resellers at the same time. It would be the label and the reseller at the same time. They're the same person, but they're pretending. And then like they were like, oh, we sold out, and then like a month later it'll be like, oh, you know, like you can still get it for 60. You know, like I heard stories like that.
In LA who does this full time. He basically watches all these videos, and then he's like a shark. He just buys all these vinyls and then resells.
Yeah, it's a business.
He's like he does this for
resellers. It's like a business.
It's like stock flipping.
It's very risky.
It's a business, but I would argue that like, and like I actually got into like a little bit of an online argument there, like because Yoyaku like announced that they
we saw
you saw my comments.
You saw your comments.
I was like, okay, great. Like, why are you doing that? And then I saw their statement, and in the statement it said we are noticing a return to more conscious listening. And I'm like, what the hell is more conscious listening? What the fuck does that mean? Well, so like, if you listen, like, why does the medium where you listen it from matter more than the actual music? Yeah. So if I'm listening to a shit piece of music on vinyl, it's conscious listening. Yeah. But if I'm listening to a good piece of music on Spotify, it's not conscious. It's fucking bullshit, man.
Could you say it's more about like people are willing to buy the music?
I would have made a statement saying it's a business model that works for us.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah,
it's a business model that works for us. Rather than like we're seeing a return to more conscious listening.
Yeah. This is super
conscious listening. Yeah. What does that even mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
just goes straight to the thing.
Yeah, and it's like, and I think it doesn't benefit the artists at all. Yeah. I think it's elitist. I think it's like, you know, like there's some people who are commenting. It's like, you know, like in the, you know, the DJ mixes that they're putting out, and they're not putting any track lists out there. And it's it's like the diggest mentality was like, well, you've got to find your own music. Like for me, music is to be shared. You know. And
people that block there.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's not like, it's like, no, this is mine. Like this is mine. I won't give you my music. But like
someone else,
you know, like I think that scene thrives of having exclusivity. So that scene thrives of I have some records that you don't have, right? Yeah. Therefore, I'm special, basically. You know.
Also, Genie on Earth.
Oh, did you see this?
Did you see that one too? Like he also got a little hate on it.
Oh, yeah. Really? What did he say?
So they posted a video about him saying like, oh, like I would never like copy other DJs' IDs, like you know.
I dig so hard to the point that no one else has this record.
And then a lot of people just say like, you know, like I know you get this, I know you do this, but like we make this music to be shared.
Yeah, this is a bit elitist.
Yeah, I think it's elitist. Like, I mean, everybody's allowed to have their own views on that. You know what I mean? Everybody's allowed to have their own views on that. For me, music is to be shared. You know, when somebody asks me what's that tune, I'll tell them. You know what I mean?
Unless you made it and it's like you haven't released it yet.
But I will say that. I will say like, hey, it's one of mine. It's unreleased. Or it's one of Kota's. It's unreleased.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like so like
if it's released and it's out there and you're not sharing, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, someone put this out, not you.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No, they have this mentality. It's like, oh, I spent like 2 hours to find this tune, so it's mine. But you didn't make it though. It's like you just found it. You know, like if you made it, you have the right to say that.
It makes no sense.
I don't like that.
It's called a release.
I think that's happening less and less. I think music is now really widely accessible. Everybody has access to the same tools. If you're willing to dig a little bit, you can find really good tunes, and you can play look, we all like the same music, but my set was very different from your set. I don't think there was one track that was the same in the whole set, although we all like the same artist.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I don't think there's any... You don't really have to guard it that
crazy,
scared, because you can still be different, and still play a different set than everybody else. You know what I mean?
There's enough cheese for
this is right. So this it boils down to this. It's scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset, right? Yeah. Abundance mindset is the cake's big enough for everybody. Yeah. I'm not going to lose out by sharing some information with you, right?
This is my cake.
The scarcity mindset is there's a tiny little cake and I must guard my piece, very, very, diligently and very, very hardcore, and make sure that nobody else get a piece because I think that piece is tiny and I don't want to share any of it, So I always try to live from abundance mindset.
Of course.
And I feel when you live from an abundance mindset, things come back to you as well. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah. You give and you receive.
Yeah, exactly. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you live from abundance mindset, you will receive,
Yes.
And if you live from a scarcity mindset, then the world will really turn into that, because you're giving out that vibe,
Yeah.
So, and this whole thing about limiting the reach of the music, to me, that's scarcity mindset.
I also want to ask you about a question about this, not on the music wise, but on the artistic career wise. Let's say there's so many underground artists in the world that it feels like they just don't want to be big. They just want to stay in that zone. Do you think do they actually want to stay in that zone, or they just are lazy to be big?
Look, I mean, I don't want to speculate about people's motivations, and I think there's genuinely some people that just make music for the love of it, and they just want to have they're happy with having a small career. I've met some guys, in my career, and I can always tell within 5 minutes of talking to somebody whether they're going to have a career or not, because I just ask them hey, you want a career out of this? And if there's some people who just go definitely, yes, they just go this is what I want to do. And some people go if it was going to happen, and if there's something, even if there's some slight hesitation, and maybe and blah blah blah, and if blah blah. If I hear an if, I already know it's not going to happen. I used to know this guy, and really good friends with him, and he was if that opportunity would arise, then I would, and I'm that's not how it works. No. If the opportunity arises, either you create the opportunity yourself, or you don't.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody knocks on your door and goes hey, do you want to be a massive artist? No, there's a lot of work that goes into that. You know what I mean? So if people say if the opportunity arises, then I already know it ain't gonna happen for them.
It's the same in surfing. So you all paddle out. Let's say 50 people paddle out. But if you're not chasing it to the peak where it's the scariest, where it's the biggest drop, you're just waiting at the end of the wave. It's never going to happen.
And also assert yourself in the lineup, I guess, right? Where you go I'm taking that wave now. I'm taking that one. I don't know if you're dropping it or not. It's mine. You know what I mean? If you're always waiting for other people will just take advantage of you.
Exactly.
80-20 applies.
Exactly. And it's the scariest at that peak. It's always the scariest. And it's the same in this. It's the same.
So I think a lot of people go into it with where they haven't got clear goals, they haven't got a clear vision of what they want to achieve, and how can you achieve something if you don't have a vision of what it is?
Or game plan if you
if you don't have a clear vision of what it is that you want to achieve, a 1 year plan, a 5 year plan, a 10-year plan, then I don't think there's a chance in hell that you're gonna make. I mean, some people have these random careers where things just happen to them. I don't know enough about him, but I can't imagine that somebody like Ricardo Villalobos planned a great deal, in his career. I think he's just he's just a character that loves to party. A character that loves to party, loves to create, and he became this meme, this meme of
the king of that,
the king of after party, the king of being off your head, and DJing and making
20-minute minimum
and doing whatever the fuck he likes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Whether people like it or not, and it was very polarizing. Lots of people would say not for me. Lots of people would say like he's a genius. But you know, he's sustained a career for 3 decades now. You know, and I don't think he sits down and does a goal planning session like once a year, going like, have I achieved my goals? He's just like, I'm just gonna go show up and play music for 15 hours.
He's not like, I'm gonna release a 30-minute track this month of this year. He's just like, man, I'm in this too.
And there's I find but there's a whole spectrum of people. You know, there's people that plan everything. There's people that plan nothing. I think the people that plan everything have probably a much higher chance of achieving it. I think the people that achieve something while planning nothing, while those exist, I think those are the anomalies. And I don't think whatever they've done is reproducible. It just happened for like circumstances, luck, you know, the people that were around them, the opportunities that arose, you know, but it's not something where I can look like, I'm going to look at that career and go like, I'm going to reproduce that. And I think that's where a lot of people failed. For example, I think a lot of people in the Romanian minimal scene were they were really looking up to that kind of thing, to be like that.
It just happens.
No social media, only like vinyl only, never telling anybody about their records, not sharing anything about themselves. And like no content creation. It went well for like 2-3 years, you know, and then like it disappeared, the scene. And now you go back to Romania and you play in Romania and that scene doesn't really exist anymore, you know? Like even the Romanian artists, it's very small, like they have Sunwaves once a year, you know, or twice a year. They have that twice a year and that's when they all get to play. But that's not a career when you're playing once a year at like a festival, you know, or some small club shows. And you don't see them on the international circuit anymore. You know, there were some big names around at that time that we used to play Ibiza in a long time.
Zip and all
I mean, like, you know, like Zip is like, you know, he's been around for a long time. He's done a label. People like that will always be like Move D, Zip. They'll always be around because they have that legendary status. But then there's other people, for example, you know, like Barack, who's just like disappeared, you know, like, and I think you have to go with the times, and if you can't adapt to new realities, which is you have to create a lot of content, then you're going to be in trouble, you know.
Just play the game with statistics, like increase your probabilities to make it succeeding.
That is actually really true. I think it's a big part of the game now, the content creation.
Oh my god, it's like it's gone to a point where it's just not appealing to me at all anymore. I mean, we create a lot of content for Dojo, and it's really content that I really enjoy creating.
So you have a team for that, right?
Well, it's 3 of us, so it's not a team. It's like
so you still I thought
it's 3 of us. It's me, William, and my co-founder Garrett. So it's 3 of us, you know. But you know, we have freelancers that work for us in sales, that work for us in editing, that work for us.
How did you guys come up with the idea together?
It just sort of
So you know him for a long time?
Yeah, it just sort of crystallized. But before I could jump on that thought, I want to finish the thought about the content creation.
Let's take
But it's gone to a point where I'm just literally just thinking like, where's it all heading? You know, because I see the people who are most successful now and have broken through, and it's almost like they've become YouTube influencers. They have vlogs on YouTube, you know, like travel, like with the whole team, like, you know, and that seems to be becoming a thing now where like DJs have to do that now, right? And for like, that is not really viable for the vast majority of DJs, because for that you have to have a team travel with you. And a team costs money, and you have to turn over a certain amount of money a year to be able to have a videographer with you at all times, to be able to have a tour manager with you, you know what I mean? Like all of these people with you. And then also I wouldn't want to put every fucking second of my life like online. I just it's exhausting. I think it's not good for your mental health. You know, it's just like
traveling's already tiring.
And it's
chill.
And it's just like sometimes you just want to enjoy the moment, and you don't want a camera in your face following you around all of the time. So like, while we do a lot of content, like you know, for Dojo, it's like content where I know like I have control over it, and like, you know, I do something like this with you guys, or I do an interview for Dojo, and I have like long form content where I can talk and share my thoughts, and That's really cool. But then when I leave that podcast studio, you know, there's no cameras with me. You know what I mean? And like, I don't even think somebody would be interested in my life anyways, you know, like it's not that interesting.
And it's your life. It's for you.
You know? And it's like,
you would never know when you
but then like I see like, you know, like how it's going for some of the bigger names out there where they're doing like YouTube channels and that's becoming a thing now. I would say like
you got to sustain.
I congratulate them that they are, you know, at the forefront of that and that they're utilizing this medium in a way where they're like, you know, like I'm doing this like a YouTuber basically, and that's just another facet of my DJing career. People are used to seeing that medium; they want to see the behind the scenes stuff. But at the same time, I'm thinking, where is this all going? Like, is it all distracting from the music a lot? And like,
it could be another income.
Yeah, and it's like I feel very, I feel very conflicted about it. You know, it's almost now that it's come to a point where the social media comes first and the music comes second. You know.
To be honest, like even us, like when we even like book an artist, like I don't care about like the IG following and stuff, but we still even like kind of consider that. Like,
of course,
it's a weird thing now that you
look. I mean, like, look. There's some realities there that are absolutely valid, right? As a promoter, like you have to look at like what a person's reach is, whether you want to put them on your lineup or not. You can love somebody's music, but if they got 500 followers on Instagram, you know you ain't gonna sell the tickets. You know what I mean? So like it's valid for a promoter to look at that, right? It's also valid for a record label. When I run a record label to go like, hey, like if somebody's making music, they're saying like, what do his socials look like? Because
what's the trajectory of
the problem is with record labels is that, you know, it's very hard even like to be profitable, right? So 90% of artists don't recoup the costs. That's the truth. Sometimes people go like, hey, can I have a statement after like 3 years? And I'm like, yeah, you can have a statement, but you haven't recouped, bro. Like there's nothing like we're still paying off the costs of your release, you know? And they're like super surprised. It's like, yeah, but I charted. It's like, well, you know what? To chart on Beatport takes like 150 sales. That doesn't pay even for the mastering costs and the artwork. You know,
it doesn't pay for.
So for an artist to recoup, you know, like they have to have a little bit of buzz around them. So I also look at like sometimes people have sent me music, but I said like social media is just dead, like nothing. And I was like, although I like the music, I can't sign it because I know I never recoup the money. And like Archie Hamilton said this in an interview with me on Dojo, like sometimes you can take a punt on that person where you go like, I believe in your music and but I want you to develop your socials. That's part. And also like, you have to give me like 3 or 4 EPs, you know, because I'm giving you that chance. I expect
development.
I expect some loyalty here. Like I don't want you running off like to like a bigger label as soon as you get the chance, you know, and never hear from you again. I'm giving you a chance, although you're a small artist, but I want some loyalty here so we can recoup, you know. So like it's valid to look at social media like that, but when big promoters put social media above everything. And I don't want any names because there's some people in the scene who are like, who just made it as influencers first. And they've just blew up on social media and then as an afterthought, people have thought like, oh, does he also make music? Or now he's making music, basically, you know?
Once they got big, it's time to make music.
And it's like the social media comes first. And there's a couple of them out there, quite a few of them out there.
No, actually, so many.
So many. Especially like, I think like in our scene, there's not that many because it's very much focused on producers in our type of music. But like in the melodic house scene, there's so many influencer DJs basically that like they're just on YouTube channels, you know, like and put out loads of fucking music on the YouTube or like mixes on the YouTube channels and become like that. Or even that is fine, but like I mean,
their lifestyle in Toulouse.
To me, it's definitely like going in the wrong direction. To me, it's like when I started DJing, you could make a living out of just being a producer and a DJ. You could make a living just being out of a producer, you know? Even producer, DJ, even the producer being a DJ was like, could be 2 separate things. Loads of people would just release records and you would sell 10,000 records per release and you just put out one every month.
That was the only way to listen music, right?
Back in the day. So that was the only way to DJ was with records.
So you have to have vinyls.
You had to play vinyls, you know? I mean, like, they had CD decks come out like in the late 90s, but they were terrible.
Yeah,
and I think the first CDJs were like about 2003. 2003, 2004 was the first CDJ, and that was
the whole
obviously
Ibiza scene got changed after that.
Yeah.
It was,
Everything changed after that. Yeah.
Going back to the final,
Yeah.
like as you know, we're about to release our own EP.
We already,
Yes.
we already have
our
released,
first
yeah.
press.
And what we do is that we release both on digital and vinyl.
Yes.
Do you think the vinyl aspect could help us stand out more other than the other?
Look, like, yes
That
and
was
no.
the mentality
Yes
we
and
had.
no. I'm
Yeah.
going to be brutally honest. I ditched vinyl because I just couldn't face, like, I hated dealing with the economics of vinyl. Very hard to make it work economically. And then the worst thing was delays, right? Delays and pressing.
Delays.
Yeah. You put out a release schedule and it was always fucked up because there's delays. And like, if I make a tune, like, and I want to put it out digitally, I can put that out within like 3 weeks, you know?
Yeah.
3 weeks before it's coming out, I can just give that to like my label managers, like, let's put that out at the end of the month, and it's out. And with vinyl, it takes a lot of planning, a lot of
different type of mastering.
yeah, it takes a lot of time, you know.
What I mentioned yesterday
Yeah.
is like I think because we're in a pretty infant stage of our artist, I guess, trajectory or career, I think it gives us the pressure, and I like having that pressure on us to kind of shape us as artists.
I would reserve vinyl for like the really like passion projects.
Exactly,
When you
yeah.
think like, I have something that's really special here, some special tunes, like, you know, I want to do a various artist and put all of the guys in the crew on one EP, basically, like 4 tracks, you know, and I just want to make that special, then I would do that. I wouldn't base my whole label strategy around releasing vinyl, basically, because then you're just facing delays. It's very difficult to maintain that, you know, and obviously, like, it is a niche, you know, that is thriving, and the niche works very well. But I feel also Bandcamp has taken a lot of that niche now.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of what used to be the vinyl only scene has migrated to Bandcamp, and it's kind of like the vinyl only scene has just gone to a different platform, which made it digital, and you could even limit it on Bandcamp, you know, if you want to limit it. And you can sell it as a package where you can only buy 4 tunes together, same as like a vinyl record, you know, where you can't buy. So they give you lots of choices, and I think Bandcamp is like a much better option for doing something where you want to do like a really boutique, small kind of run of like of music that you want to release. You know,
revenue distribution.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry?
It's a better revenue distribution too, so you get like.
Yes,
more
yeah.
money
You
per
get. I think you get more money
Even
from.
the Bandcamp Fridays, you just get like all the money. It's I really like Bandcamp.
And they're like, and yeah, it's I think nowadays, like, I think you need to reach as many people as possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, there's new ways now of doing things, and how to create influence, and how to scale your streams. Like, you have to really know how the algorithm works on Spotify.
Yep.
You have to know like what to do. Like, I mean,
Publisher helps a lot.
you know, that helps. But like, also, like, one of the things that I've been doing now is like, I have a playlist, you know, that's updated on the regular, and
On Spotify?
on Spotify, and like, I run ads to the playlist.
Your tunes, right?
Not just my tunes.
This is
Everything,
Your
everything,
picks.
my picks.
Ben Rau's
Yeah.
My picks. And I run ads to that playlist, you know, like a small ad budget. And now that playlist has grown to 10K followers now. And that gives me power to influence the algorithm. So if I put people in my playlist, their streams go up.
Yep.
If I put the tracks that I release on my own label, on there,
exactly.
the streams go up. If I put my own tracks, their streams go up. And I think, like, the smart strategy to do a label, like, in 2025 is to, like, grow a massive fucking playlist.
Yeah.
If you have 100,000 followers on a playlist that
Or
you can
YouTube
reach,
channel,
that you
YouTube
can reach
channel.
just like that,
Yeah.
like, without any marketing costs other than like whatever
Ads.
the ads that you're running anyway. Like, you know, people do like promo campaigns like for their music, where like, I would say, yeah, DJ promo, cool, do that, right? But like, you know, it's getting sent to DJs, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know, promo campaigns where like you are getting like a blog mention, or press, classic press, where you pay for we pay for a PR package for like 300 euros, you know what I mean, for a release, and it's getting sent to like 10 different blogs, and you get a review and resident advisor, article, and then you get a premiere on so and so and whatnot. All of that's fucking bullshit. The times where that was effective are over.
Just put the ad on Spotify.
You don't know to press. Put an ad. Run some ads to your Spotify playlist. Get some followers and streams behind it. Get some money back.
That's a smart idea.
Get some money back, because that's. If you use your marketing budget to scale your own playlist,
like
you're actually getting money back. You could become a Submit Hub curator after that, right? I'm a Submit Hub curator.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm a Submit Hub curator. My budget for my playlist is self-funding, because I get $1.50 to listen to submissions. Per track. Every morning there's like 10 tracks in there. Takes me 10 minutes to listen to all of the tracks. I don't have to approve them. If I deny them, I still get the money, right? I only approve the music that I like, right, and on the playlist, and then that's the ad budget for growing that playlist. So it's that playlist is self-funding. So that's a smart way of doing it.
That's like the digital version of being a DJ. Right? Essentially, like a playlist.
Yeah, I mean, look. At the end of the day, right? As an artist, your job is to create communities, right, and to curate music for them. Curate music for them and create communities. That's the main thing that we do, right? So if you grow a playlist to 10K followers, you've created a community there, right? Of people that keep going back to that playlist, that keep playing that playlist at an after party, that love it, and they follow that playlist because it's always updated and whatnot. You're curating music, and you put in your music of your own label, of the artists that you like, of other people on there, right? You can monetize that expertise by being a curator on something like Submit Hub. It's self-funding. It generates revenue, so you get money back from it, right? Not just from Submit Hub, but from the actual streams that you generate for yourself and the artists on your label. So to me, that's the smart way of doing things in 2025.
Really smart. I'm learning a lot right now.
Yeah.
So to go back to just the vinyl thing, just for last question, or label that you released on EastEnders.
Yes.
So they still continue. They do obviously the digital.
Yeah,
releases.
We had to wait 6 months for that actually.
For the digital release.
Yeah, I mean no, for the vinyl release. The vinyl release. The release was ready, but there were delays and in production, and it took 6 months to make it. And Eastern Dubs still likes to do vinyl, and he has a commitment to that medium, which is cool.
He just loves it.
Yeah, and it's cool, and it gives it a certain gravitas. A lot of artists want that vinyl release. They want that one release where I have a physical product
copy,
and it does look cool. It does look really good.
Yeah, and you have your own free copies, and you put one in a frame in your house, and that will exist forever. It's not just some zeros and ones floating through the internet, So it's cool to have that, but for me, it doesn't really I wouldn't choose to release on a label because they do vinyl.
Of course.
So do you think event-wise, if we run, like for example, an event where we play vinyl all day long, do you think it'll attract more people to our event?
I think the music will attract people, not what medium you play it on, right? Yeah. I think there's a certain very specific type of music head that will be attracted to that, but those people are not a lot. And
it's underground.
It's very underground. And
the whole trauma scene.
Yeah, and it's like I mean, look at all the beautiful girls that you had at your party on there. Do you think one of those girls cares whether the music was played on vinyl or whether it was played digital? They like the good tunes, you know what I mean? And the guys come because the girls are there,
They wouldn't be like, oh, that tune was played on vinyl.
Look,
there's gonna be one dude that's like,
there's gonna be that one dude. I don't want to sound sexist. Obviously, there's female vinyl diggers out there. Plenty.
A lot of good ones.
Plenty, and great female vinyl only DJs out there.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is the majority of punters, and let's not even just talk about women at all. Right? Let's just talk about the people that came to the party yesterday. Do they really care about whether what is anybody going to look over the DJ? I'm gonna dance harder now. It's played on vinyl. Like to me,
I think it's more Instagrammable. That's the thing.
To me, the elevation of the medium over the music doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
But if the medium elevates the artist playing the music, then maybe let's say like
the medium can elevate the music because there's certain stuff that's just not available in digital, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's where you have that small contingency of punters that know, like, you know, maybe just 10% of the people that come to the party that know, hey, if that guy is playing vinyl, like, or vinyl only said, not just a good DJ, but he probably plays some music that I won't hear anywhere else.
Yeah. Yep.
You know? And some people really value that very highly, and obviously, like, minority, you know, like, but there's people, like, as we said, you know, those niches are big, you know, because, you know, like, you look at Sunwaves, they've carved out a whole niche about a whole festival of people coming through that.
All over the world.
Yeah, coming from all over the world, just because they know they're going to hear music, and they're going to, or like Houghton Festival, where like. Glastonbury, I mean, no. Glastonbury is the opposite. Yeah. Glastonbury is the complete opposite.
I think I confused with the Houghton.
No. Glastonbury is the biggest festival in the world. It's literally like Taylor Swift on the stage, you know. And like, I mean, don't get me wrong, Glastonbury is awesome because you get everything at Glastonbury. You get like the most underground DJs, and then you get the biggest artists in the world.
Dimensions, the festival.
Sorry,
Dimensions.
I don't. The name rings a bell, but I don't know which one.
It's like the
going with the boat, right? Yeah, no, I was thinking about Houghton as like that kind of boutique festival, which is very centered around like, and also like Josh Baker's festival, which is, you know, he always has people like Sweely, and he always has like some smaller obscure DJs that play strange music.
Yeah, they have that stage.
Yeah.
Ready for that.
Yeah. And like, and there's a lot of people that love that and come for that, you know.
I'm definitely one of those people, but I like the way that he mixes, like, you know, the big guys and also like some.
He mixes.
That's really smart
for everything.
He's very balanced.
That dude.
One for everything.
And also, I think like. Hearing music that you can't hear anybody else, I don't think it's tied so much to the medium anymore, because now I think it's much more tied to like what your connections are in the music industry and what artists you're friends with, because I can play whole sets of unreleased music that nobody would have ever heard of because the people that made that music are my friends.
Exactly.
And I can just say like, hey, I'm playing a set next week. You got anything new? You know what I mean?
And you can hear that, especially with this IG influencer thing, is that like a lot of the big DJs in the scene, they're all kind of playing each other's tunes that haven't been released, which is cool.
That's also a good feeling too, you know? My friends made it, let me just test it out. That's a good feeling.
And that's how tunes become big, you know? Exactly. Like, I'm not saying that like Let Me Talk to You was a massive tune, but it did chart in the top 10 on Beatport. And like one of the reasons why it charted is because Stassi played it for 6 months, you know? And there were like 5 or 6 videos of him playing it, like he played it in every set, you know. And you know, people were just like, they jumped on that because there's a lot of diggers out there who watch everything those DJs do, you know?
Find out where it is and everything.
It becomes an obsession to find out what those tracks are. People are like ID
culture.
Please ID, give me ID on this. And it's like, it's funny. But it's great because those are the super fans, you know, those are
exactly what we were saying. Like, you got to build that diehard following. So you got to do the balance,
So I call them the sneezers. You know what I call them? Sneezers. Because they're the ones who infect everybody else.
Oh, got it.
The sneezer will go, dude, so-and-so's in town. You all have to come. And people are like, no, like, radio. They're like, no, you must come. They're the ones that go to all of their friends, and they will drag five friends to the gig. And then the 5 friends will go like, like, we get it now. So the sneezer infects all the other people.
That's good, man.
I mean, like, if we use COVID super spreader, would be like another term.
Super spreader.
The sneezers.
There's also a couple of tunes that's being played for so long, which is the unreleased tunes. But by the time it comes out, people are already getting tired. You know?
I mean, that's a danger. That's a dangerous
thing about this. What's going on right now?
There's a danger of that happening, and you hear it a lot, and you hear it a lot at the events, and you know, like. you can't have tunes being played for like a year or so before they come out.
Yeah.
It's like it should be like 3 to 6 months max.
Max, yeah.
And
3
sometimes
months
I don't know if this is just me, but like sometimes only that moment on Instagram, like that part of the song is good.
But when you listen to the full song,
it's actually not as you know what I mean.
That happened to me.
Yeah, you get disappointed when you hear that.
15 seconds is
You're
good.
just waiting for that one moment, but it's like
What was the Sassy's tune that was like super hyped up, but when he released it, I forgot what was it. So that happened to me with that tune, for example.
oh, you weren't a fan of it?
Yeah, I was like, I listened so much on IG, and then when it got released, I'm like,
oh yeah.
okay.
But I think it's almost that's like an internal thing that goes on because like it's like the hype gets big and you hear it so much, and when you finally get it, it's underwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's
you
like
want the whole thing.
Because the hype up, the build up phase was too big, basically.
Yeah.
So like sometimes it's not even that the tune's bad or anything like that, or that the tune didn't live up to expectations. It's just that your hype and your expectations were so big that once you get the tune, you're just like, oh, it's like, you know,
It's
and
really
also,
bad for the label
and
too.
also it's like it's that whole scarcity thing, you know, where like once it's available to everybody, the value goes down.
Yeah.
You know?
Especially when people are starting to rip out of SoundCloud sets.
Yeah.
They just take out a portion and then
cut it up.
Yeah, and release.
And people download those rips. Oh my god, from a mix, you know.
From a mix, yeah. That's bad.
That sounds
terrible.
terrible.
Does that still go on? Yeah.
Oh,
That's still going.
a lot.
You can tell easily by the quality.
Yeah.
But not even the quality. It's like when they play the intro, there's still the intro of the other song in the mix.
Yeah.
And then the outro, you're just like,
There's still
like
assets.
There's still assets somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
But
But
like,
at what point?
what platforms are the ones now where like
think
all the diggers
SoundCloud.
are? Is it still SoulSeek?
Oh, you were on SoulSeek.
I'm not a big SoulSeek fan.
Yeah.
They just got me. They just got me on
But
SoulSeek.
SoulSeek used to be the one. Like, I mean, SoulSeek's been the platform for 20 years,
Wow.
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah.
2000.
Crazy.
I was on SoulSeek.
We were on
I was on
LimeWire. We were on
I was on
LimeWire
SoulSeek
before.
in 2005.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was 4
And it was a diggers platform for minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still like that, because
Yeah.
you get to chat with the people who own the folders and all that. So like
And they're
Like
super protective about it.
With the
They're
lock.
like,
With
what
the
are
lock.
you gonna give me?
you don't like
What
what
do
do you have? You
Yeah.
don't like, because I have it.
Yeah.
I have it. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Just pay me then. And they sell other people's tunes. That's also a little bit like bad for the community.
Of course. Yeah.
Because like you didn't make the tune, but you're selling my tune. Like, well, how the fuck does that happen?
Oh my gosh.
Bandcamp, I think it's
Yeah.
Bandcamp, SoulSeek. I don't like the. I kind of agree with Genie on that. Like, I really don't like, let's say, a DJ play a tune. Like a DJ have a set for 1 hour. Like, I really don't like to kind of copy what they play. That's also kind of like. I think he's right on that. I think you just need to a little bit work on yourself. Like, just like find a tune. Like, don't copy.
Find your sound, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you should never copy a DJ set. Like, that's just lazy. You know? Like,
so lazy.
Yeah.
So
and it's
wrong
like,
in middle
and it's
levels.
like, like sometimes you hear people play a certain tune, and then once you get your hands on that tune, it's like, yeah, I'm going to play that too. You know, it's absolutely fine. But like, you should make your own set and just, program your set the way that you want it. Like, I think there's a lot of myths around DJing. Like, I saw like a clip going viral from Laurent Garnier, and he was saying how bad it is if you have a playlist that's pre-planned, basically, as a DJ, and that you should never have that. And I was like, come on, man.
Garnier, right?
And I was like, like, come on, man. I love Laurent Garnier, and I respect him a lot. But let's be honest, like we have a playlist, and it doesn't mean you stick to the playlist A to B and you don't react to the crowd. Like sometimes you skip certain tracks. You're like that doesn't fit now. Now I want to skip to that section. Now I want to skip to that section. Now I feel like I want to take it in this direction. But you still have like a in record box I pack because I like some people, the way they like to order their music is like they have like
by energies.
by energies and by genres and by whatnot. I never do that.
So
I just go like this is the event I'm playing. These are the 60 records that I'm likely to play, basically, right? I don't know the exact order, but I know a rough order. Like the rough order goes from like there's a progression that makes sense in terms of the tension of the night, where like I'm building up to that moment, and in the end I'm gonna go like epic or melodic, and then I'll go like deeper and weirder, like like So like there's like a path through the night, and every set will be kind of programmed that way. And I put the tracks in the order basically.
I do that too, to be honest.
and then like it doesn't mean that it's like I'm going to play every single track in that playlist.
Yeah.
Just reference.
Quite often I skip certain tracks because that doesn't fit right now. I want to go to that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you go out of folder and you go into another folder where you have another playlist that worked on that day. So
and then you swing it back and everything.
And then it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Speaking of that, did you see any difference? I mean, you play in Bali a lot, but do you see any difference between like the Bali crowd versus like the European crowd when you play?
Yeah, I mean, just because like obviously Indonesia's drug laws are so strict that you don't really have much recreational drug taking here. You can just see that like drunk crowds are are a little bit different, but that's across the whole of Asia, not just Bali. That like parties tend to fizzle out a bit earlier. You know, because people get tired and drunk. People get tired and drunk. As in, you know, in Europe, people get tired and they go to the toilet and they aren't tired.
All of a sudden,
they come back from the toilet.
All of a sudden, I
don't know what happened.
All of a sudden,
they're just not tired anymore. So. You know, like, and then they want to go to another party.
All of a sudden, there's another one. There's another one going on.
I got to bathroom 7 times.
And then all of a sudden it's Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know what goes on in these bathrooms. For some reason, people aren't tired when they come out. So yeah, obviously that doesn't happen in Indonesia. Indonesia's super strict. In Thailand, it does happen.
It does happen.
Thailand is very relaxed right now. It's kind of becoming the go-to party destination in Southeast Asia.
Yep.
I think Asia needed that. Asia needed one.
Just one go-to.
They needed one place where you can just be a bit more relaxed about this whole thing, because look at it. You know, like 99.9% of people who do this kind of stuff don't have a problem with it. They don't ever get into trouble. They don't. They're not criminals. They're just people that want to enjoy a party. And you know, you need a place where you can just kind of, you know, just be able to do that without fear of lifelong incarceration, you know,
or death penalty.
Yes.
Death penalty.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think to be fair.
What's the risk?
To be fair, although that exists here, I think you have to be like, it has to be a fairly severe case for that to happen.
It's crazy the laws on all this, but obviously in Europe and other places it's very recreational and legal.
Yeah, I mean the Netherlands, they're just like.
we were talking yesterday. Why is the music so good there?
They have drug testing stations at the party.
Yeah,
you can see.
Like even if something's
on the festivals, you can go there and you can go like, hey, can you test that for me?
Is it laced?
I think that's so helpful.
Is it like
and they say, this is safe to take. Or then they say like, hey, this one's really powerful. Be careful with that one.
Go have fun.
But still, just be careful.
That's really healthy.
It is very healthy.
Really healthy.
This is like, we're not going to stop you from doing it. We just want you to be safe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That should be like that everywhere in the world.
Thailand, I think, will get like that.
Because it's impossible to control it too. Like
it's just that people are gonna do it no matter what. So let's just give them a good one.
Exactly.
Like the healthy one.
Like even last time.
Just make it safe. You know.
Make it legal.
Having said that, and this is the downside of it. People say like, okay, like the Netherlands is like the shining example but because the Netherlands is so liberal with it, they also have severe problems with gang violence and high levels of drug criminality, basically. Like there's really bad.
Yeah.
They had like a case against like this drug kingpin, basically, who was running the drug lord, and this guy had ordered like something like 10 contract killings already, the court was a special court, and all of the prosecutors were anonymous, so you can't see them because
otherwise it's risky.
It's risky for the prosecutors that they would be targeted and killed. They would be targeted and killed by the gang. If
they knew.
So like they built a special court for him where he was like sentenced. They had to have it all separate because that guy's that dangerous. He's that dangerous. And you had they had journalists who were reporting about him, and he got shot in the street. He got killed in the street. So like the downside with if you have like an illegal trade of an illegal substance is that you have nasty people who are going to take over that trade. You know, you have nasty people. So like, I mean, what's the solution? I don't know. You know, legalize it all. I don't know.
There's pros and cons to both.
Yeah. There's pros. There's pros and cons to both. And yeah, I think we're lucky, you know, like in Europe, that we don't really have a big problem with like what they have in the States. You know, like with opioids and stuff like that.
So, fentanyl and all that.
Which is crazy.
And
that's definitely not recreational. That is just
being a zombie.
That's just
pharmaceutical strategy.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. It's horrible. Yeah.
But going back to
the music stuff.
I
mean, they're always
to Bali. You've played here a few times, right?
Yes. You played at Old Man's
When was
twice.
the last time?
Old Man's last year. Yeah.
Last year.
So you do once a year?
Once a year. Usually when I tour Australia, I come through Asia. Maybe twice a year. Like in the past, it was twice a year. Yeah. I always love coming to Bali. Like Bali was like my first love in Southeast Asia. You know, where I really love coming to this island. I have really special place in my heart for Indonesian people and Balinese people in particular.
Yeah.
They're very kind. It's the same thing in Thailand. That kind of kindness and the politeness. Like one of the things that is just mental to me here, right? That happens is like people remember and know your name for some reason. Like I don't know if you noticed this, but like
it's like an elephant.
I'm literally I'll be signing up to the gym, right? And then the next day, like there's like, "Hi Ben," and I'm like, there's like 100 people coming every day. How do you remember my name? And then I come back a year later and he goes, Ben, you're back. And I was just like,
it's been so long.
I feel really bad for not knowing your name.
That's the worst. That's the worst. Yeah.
But like that doesn't happen. It hasn't happened just once. It happened several times.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like a norm.
And here again, like the staff again, they were like, "Hello, Mr. Ben." They were like, and I was like, "How do you like you memorized my name and you addressed me?" And it's just such a special thing. It makes you feel so welcome, you know. And it's not everywhere like that in the world, you know.
For sure.
It happens to me a lot here because my name means rock. Here, so like they just remember it.
They're just making fun of it. They're just making fun of it.
Did you feel any difference this is your first time playing in Uluwatu?
In Ulu, yes, yeah.
Did you feel any difference playing here as opposed to Canggu, or in terms of your?
I find Canggu probably a bit more rowdy. Old Man's is a bit of a rowdy place, and like lots of sort of young Australians that are like partying,
super drunk,
super drunk, but still good vibes, you know.
Very good.
Like and the music programming there has become serious, you know. It's not. It's not like
a couple of underground artists.
Even your partner played over there, like the
who?
Odin and Fatso. They played.
Odin and Fatso played there.
Like a week ago or something.
Odin and Fatso played. What's the Australian guy called that does
I know
he's always topless and he always does
topless guy.
Cat tunes. What is his name again?
Party Boy 69.
Party Boy 69.
I watched that one.
He was at
that was good. That was a silly one.
That guy's a character.
That guy is a character.
He's like Ricardo Villalobos.
He's in character.
Yeah, he's in character.
I don't know whether he's in character or whether he's actually like that. Probably in character.
He's huge too. Like
he's
giant.
CRT and all that. Yeah. He got really big though.
He's really big right now. He's really, really, really big. But yeah, I think I'd love to talk about Dojo.
Yes,
we would love to talk because we're all producers as well.
Wicked.
And how you're saying is like one thing that's really important is to find not only in like your job but just in whatever you want to do, mentorship.
Yeah.
Just I wouldn't say speed up the process, but like just learn from people's mistakes and the people that have done it, and having that community where they can kind of guide you and assist you and give you feedback. And that's essentially some of the things that Dojo has to offer.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I feel like for us, we, especially like, let's say for I've been producing for a while now, but I used to do different genres back then, but he just started like last year.
Yeah.
And when coming up, he was,
like you played one of yours down at the deck yesterday, and I was like, "Who's the tune?" And they were like, "It's one of yours." And I was like, "That's a banger."
It means a lot,
man. Good stuff.
Like this stuff, like watching like the the YouTube shorts, like of everything, both like let's say Dojo, Kepler's thing, Synto, whatever it may be. These production platforms really help us.
I think it's so nice to give him back to the community.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's like, look, you know, like the if you want this culture to continue, you know, you have to have the next generation come through, and what I've seen is like even the progression that I've seen in when I started out first producing to what people are doing now, the levels have just increased so much in terms of musicality, complexity, composition,
technicality,
arrangement. Like the quality is so high now. Yeah. It's such a difficult space to compete in. I mean, the tunes that I made and that first got traction. I listened back to those tunes. I was just like, Jesus Christ, there's not much going on in here.
True.
Like,
you're like, hello.
You know, and it's like, and you know, like, but all of our early productions, like East and Dub's early stuff, my early stuff, you know, Enzo's early stuff. I listened to all of that stuff. It was kind of the sound at the time, that beat, very stripped back deep tech. But I listened to it and I was like, there's not a lot of going on. And
10 channels.
And like, and it's just like, and you know, now you listen to like, you know, I think the label that was at the forefront of this is the Piff Sound, you know, which is, you know, really brought like a classic deep house sound back to,
good.
You know, and like people like, I think
really chord-driven.
The problem was that people didn't really know what deep house was anymore because Beatport had mislabeled deep house. They've labeled it right now. Now deep house is actually deep house again, right? Yeah. But deep house was actually melodic house was labeled as deep house. So like, there's a whole generation of people out there go like, I'm a deep house artist. And they're like, no, you're not. You're not a deep house artist. You don't even know what deep house is, you know? Like, because they think like, because they're making, you know, melodic sounds. They think that's deep, basically. Yeah. But you know, Beatport mislabeled that. But then you know, the Beatport did like a whole overhaul thing.
Yep.
And they got some really knowledgeable people in.
Yep.
One of them is a good friend of mine called Raphael. He's the head of curation.
Oh, nice.
And he was just like, first the thing they did is EDM out. Like they have no EDM anymore. They were like EDM out. Do you remember when the charts were dominated on Beatport still by EDM?
10, 11,
yeah, it was like
Martin Garrix.
Do you remember that those music? Oh my God, Martin Garrix stuff.
Yeah, Martin Garrix.
And they were like, and they were literally like out with all of that stuff, like out. Like, and we're going to promote like proper house and techno now, and like, and it changed actually everything because actually EDM as a genre died afterwards.
Yeah,
you know?
but in US,
I mean, those guys are still around. Obviously, Martin Garrix,
Vegas,
you know, like they're still like Timmy Trumpet.
That's insane. You know why? Like why that happened?
I think you know they were just making crazier festivals, and it just matched with like.
But you know, there's, as I said, like the cake's big for enough for everybody.
Exactly.
You know, like in the Netherlands, you have like hardcore.
Oh my God.
You know, and you have like Anger Fist. You know, like. And there's
like jungle.
They have huge raves.
Yeah, huge.
Like, massive raves where it's like
like full on like
it's just like
workout.
What the fuck is going on? I didn't realize that many people are into this stuff. Like
I don't know how you can enjoy that stuff, man.
But there are people that do.
Yeah, I know.
It's literally like somebody's drilling a hole into your brain like a drill.
I can't never understand that, to be honest.
Once you got BPM for
I love the name Anger Fist.
I can't do it. Oh my God.
You must be really fucked up.
Even if you're drugs,
I'm very angry. I'm extremely angry.
But it's there.
It's there, yeah.
Yeah, but like I think it's a beautiful thing that it's like you have these obscure genres, right? That like are totally like. I mean, like you couldn't even put that on the radio. People would be calling in and going like, "What the hell? What's going on here?" Like, but there's tens of thousands of people that love going to these raves, and these guys are massive, you know.
Even the side trance scene, for example, is another level. It's just it's crazy. Music is just so big now. Like the market is
the niche thing is really well made.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that is like, you know, if you go like a big philosophical argument about like how this happened, and it's like, you know, like the internet really, you know, like, I mean, you guys never remember the time before the internet, you know, but like I remember the time before the internet, you know, and it's like, and it's like the internet really just allowed everybody to find their tribe, you know, like, and all of these people all existed before, but maybe you were like the one kid that likes fucking Anger Fist in your village. Nobody else in your village likes Anger Fist.
But the village over there.
Yeah, you should remember. But then there's like there's like another dude and another dude, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, let's all go to a rave together, you know? And then there's like a rave, and then all of a sudden there's like 10,000 people there, you know? And then all of a sudden you're not the only Anger Fist fan in the village anymore,
exactly.
you know?
There's two
like there's like you find all your mates, and that's the beautiful thing, you know, about like and that goes back to creating communities, you know.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know how we ended up on this tangent. I forgot the original question.
What was I was trying to figure that.
Dojo.
We started Dojo, and then how we got into the hardcore music from Dojo. So that was funny.
I mean, going back to that, I just want to address that real quickly. Giving back to the next generation.
That's where we were.
teaching the next generation, and like also like seeing like how good they are and how music keeps progressing, and that gets me fired up. Like I listen to like this music and I was like, man, like it's getting better and better and better, you know. And then, but also, you know, like looking to the past and seeing like a lot of that music is still relevant, you know. And you told me your story yesterday where you said you were in Chicago and like and you really got into your house music and you really started learning about house music, and it's a culture and a movement. And like I've gotten some of the best relationships in my life out of the scene. I've met some of the best people that I've met in my life out of the scene. I've had some of the most amazing experiences that I've had, you know, coming from the scene. I've seen the whole world from the scene. So there's a lot I have to thank electronic music for, and especially house music. And like I had this dream, like in the early 2000s that I was going to be an international house DJ that sees the world. And you know, back then it was like it was a thing, but like the people that did it, like, you know, back then, like it was not, there wasn't a clear path to it. It wasn't, people didn't really know how to do this, and I managed to do it. And to be able to help the next generation do that feels like an appropriate thing to do at this stage of my career now, you know. And my career, it's not really about achieving more for myself and my DJ career anymore. Like if my DJ career ended, I would be content. Really? I've done everything. I've done everything that I wanted to do.
Done.
I would be content. Yeah.
You probably play all the festivals that you wanted to play.
I've played the biggest festival in the world, Glastonbury. I played DC10. I've played Amnesia. I've played, you know, I've released on the biggest house label in the world, Defected. I've started two of my own labels. I mean, like, I don't want to read off the list of my accomplishments, but what I'm trying to say here is that I've done enough things to be very content with what I've achieved. And at some point, it's like, you can always just top everything. You can like, I can play that stage at a better time. You know, I can play like, I go from the medium stage to the really big stage. You know, I can, I can play like at a later set time. I can close that club. You know what I mean? So it's just like at that point, it just becomes like sort of small percentage increases of like the thing that you've already achieved, you know. And for me now, I'm very content with just passing on knowledge, obviously still being active, touring, you know, releasing a lot of music as well. I'm releasing more music now than I've ever released.
I'm releasing, right?
And but then also building this thing where I'm transitioning into more of a teacher role, of a mentor role, also entrepreneurship, because Dojo is not just, you know, about teaching people, is also a business. You know what I mean? That's a very important part that I don't want to sweep under the carpet. You know, it's also a business. And you know, that feels very appropriate at this stage. And also because, you know, I want to be honest about this, because people don't really talk about it. Touring is grueling. It's really, really hard to tour every weekend for like 10, 15 years. Like it's hard. Like many sacrifices are being made because, you know, life happens at the weekends, right? Like weddings,
friends'
birthdays, all of these celebrations happen at weekends, and when you're always on the road, you miss out on a lot of things. And I talked about this with Solada recently. We're in South America, and we talked about the reality of it, and they were saying, like the sacrifices are real, the pay is great, it's very satisfying to be able to do this job, but the sacrifices are real, and you have to be really aware of that there's a lot of sacrifices to be made if you choose that path, like Enzo always used to say to me, Enzo Siragusa, be careful what you wish for. He said, be careful what you wish for, and then I would phone him up a year later, goes like, I'm dying here, like on tour, and he goes I told you, but at the same time, there's a lot of love for the culture and for the rave, and we want this culture to continue, and even, if you at some point feel like, okay, the touring is getting a bit much, you can still pass on the torch to the next generation.
Yes. And
they already have that hunger, and they're ready to step up and and to continue, uplifting the culture.
Yeah. Pass it on. And you can see that in many of these labels or event series. You can see the upcoming. You can feel who's going to be the next star. Essentially.
And they're coming, and you can tell, and it's great to see, and but then also there's a lot of the older guys that still have got a lot to give, that have been around,
which is awesome to see.
Forever,
they've
been around since forever, and they're still they have the expertise, and a lot of I don't want to sound like everything, the older guys are better or whatnot, but but a lot of us that sort of been in the game for a long time have gone through a lot of different stages of being DJs, you guys, when you're doing your own events, you're residents, So I think being a resident is super important. And I don't think a lot of DJs go through that resident stage anymore. They start making tunes straight away, and then if they get a career, then they start touring immediately. But back in the day, it wasn't first you were a resident at a night, in a club, and then eventually you start making music, and then maybe after a while you get touring, So I feel those stages are still important, and I feel it's great that you have that here, that you have your own events and you can be residents, because
you understand
out on the deck, playing those 2-3 hours for the after party, that's where you learn your craft.
Because we went to some events of our favorite producers, and when we saw them live DJing, they're actually a better producer than better DJ.
That's quite often you see.
Very often.
You make so much good music, but
pretty underwhelming.
Mixing
programming a set, telling a story in the set, having a progression.
For me, it even developed me as an artist. Developed me to figure out the sound that I like to create and the dynamic.
I used to learn from a lot of people that I really looked up to, like Laurent Garnier, Sven Vath, and stuff like that, where they're saying Sven Vath summed it up for me once. He goes I'm right here right now with this tune. I want to get to this tune, right? This tune is how do I get from here to here? What 5 or 6 tunes do I have to play to get from that point to that point in the set? Because you have certain points in the set that are the major sort of events in the set, the events, the major moments. You create those moments, and you're how do I get from that moment to that moment?
We need,
and that's the craft.
You pick the wrong moments, you can also destroy the tune.
That's my favorite
Very
part.
critical.
Those in between parts, you want to play these big bangers, and it's how do you
get from there to there?
And bangers is not necessarily whoa, but it's you can play like you said, the deep hypnotic.
Just tracks that create a moment, basically.
He's such a great storyteller, by the way. I listen to him live.
He's great.
A storyteller. Definitely.
He just became a dad again at 60.
Congrats.
So we actually have very limited memory already.
So
we have
we've talked for about an hour.
We have
already.
one last question.
One
last question is you said the DJing, touring, artist life is very exhausting in a long period of time. What was your kind of advice or solution if you were to choose this path?
So for me, things became so much easier once I really started taking care of my health, and taking care of my health meant limiting alcohol. I mean, like yesterday I had like 2 beers, you know. I didn't even finish the second one, you know. So, and then downstairs when it was you, I was on the mocktails.
Yeah, the mocktails. I was on the sodas.
And I'm like, I don't, you know, I really limit my alcohol intake, you know, because next day you can really feel it. Then at the same time, for me, it's essential working out and doing sports. You know, I went to the gym yesterday before the set as well. So like I try to hit the gym like pretty much every day. I'm gonna go today as well. Then that made a huge difference. And then I have a special hack that only works in certain areas of the world, but I don't try to adjust to new time zones. When I'm going for just a weekend, I always stay on home time.
Really?
So like if I go to like South America, if it's like 6 p.m. in the evening, it's like 12 o'clock at night at home. I'm like, I go to bed, and if they go like, oh, there's artist dinner at 11, I'm like, I'm not going because that's like 5 a.m. at home and I'll be just dead trying to stay up. So like I was always trying to stay on home time and give my body as little switches between time zones as possible. And then like really be smart with your touring as well, because like, for example, you know, I've been in the gym now like for like a month. So I was based in Phuket. I played like every weekend around Asia. You know, I've been in Singapore, been to Bangkok, Phuket.
You go to Australia.
You know, now in Bali. Now I'm going to Australia. So I'm just staying in one region for a while, making it a base, and then moving on to like the next region. You know, then
you
summer
don't do like
comes up.
one country every weekend, like, you know, like some people just do like crazy schedule.
Yeah, and I did that. Yeah, I used to do that in the beginning, and it killed me. Like I remember like once I did. I was in South America, and I played a free weekend show, a free gig weekend in South America. I got on the plane. I had tonsillitis, so like my throat was swollen because my body was so run down already. I arrived in Berlin. I had 2 hours before boarding another 26-hour flight to go to Australia, right? And like I just like the only thing I did was went to the doctor and he just looked at my mouth and goes, right, penicillin, and he just gave me penicillin and he goes like, take a double dose, and then I upgraded my flight for like €1,000 just so I could sleep, you know. You know, even although it cost me a lot of money, and like I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna sleep and survive, and I was just like in a cold sweat on the flight, just like, But like, you know, like that's not touring smart, and I'll never do that again, you know.
Cool.
Do we have any final questions
or anything? Any last remarks you want to say?
No last remarks, just about thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
It was really, really fun yesterday. Like I would love to come again. And yeah, like I would just love to see this whole thing flourish, and you know, I'd love to see where you guys are in a year's time. You know, and see where the journey goes.
So great to meet you in person as well. You know, we were so excited to kind of like learn from your experience. You know, you've been in the scene for a long time.
Learn,
and we'll keep up this relationship up. You know,
of course,
there's more juice to come out of this lemon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for everything.
Thank you, man. Really.
Okay, nice one.
Awesome.